step pyramid ushered in a new age of monument building in the world. Thanks to a popular king, a booming economy and trade, Egypt was in a golden age, and so were its pyramids. But the good times wouldn't last. 3 centuries later, drought and corruption brought ancient Egypt into a kind of dark ages. The pyramids were looted, the kingdom was divided, and pharaohs no longer had the power and influence to build great palaces in their city of the dead. But the journey into the afterlife still meant the world to them. So without the stairways to heaven, the pharaohs needed something else to help guide them safely into the next life. So they adopted religious text, literally magical spells, inscribed in a sacred code.
After King Zoser built the world's first pyramid in Saqqara, the sacred tombs of the pharaohs littered the desert west of the Nile. But when their royal tombs were looted and the kingdom began to crumble, the pharaohs needed to find another way to pass through to the afterlife. A mysterious code that remains the oldest religious text in the world. I'm rejoining archaeologist Ashraf El-Mahrabi to go down into the heart of the pyramid of King Titi, a pharaoh who ruled more than 300 years after King Zoser, to get a rare look at ancient Egypt's instruction manual for entering heaven.
It looked like a pile of sand from outside.
Exactly. So this mound of sand is actually the pyramid?
Yes.
When King Zoser built the first pyramid, around 2700 BC, he could afford thousands of laborers and tons of stone. But by the time the pharaoh Titi began to build his tomb, war and famine had drained the pharaoh's resources. So they cut corners. Simple underground chambers were dug, then concealed by a massive pile of rubble and covered with a limestone facade. As the centuries passed, the facade was destroyed, and the pile underneath crumbled into a shapeless mound.
So let's get down.
Yes, we are heading now to see the entrance of the pyramid. Watch your head.
It's a real squeeze.
Yes, so you can see the tunnel. It's not big.
Yeah.
For big guys like us.
Okay.
Yeah.
First chamber, huh? And
yes.
I can really see the difference already in the different cut. I mean, it's much cleaner.
Much cleaner, yeah.
Much more of a grand entrance.
We were 700 yards from Zoser's step pyramid, down beneath the desert sands, slowly making our way to King Titi's burial chamber, where the world's first religious text was written in stone. And this straight tunnel was the only way in. After the king was buried, 3 huge granite blocks were used to seal the passageway, creating a primitive security system. It was state-of-the-art for the time, but the pharaoh's greatest protection wasn't stone blocks. It was these mystical spells, never meant for our eyes, hidden beneath the desert for millennia.
Oh, wow. So we're in the center of the pyramid.
Exactly in the center of the pyramid.
Look at this. This whole wall, and I guess it would have gone around the corner here.
It's everywhere.
Everything is hieroglyphics.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, this is incredible.
This antechamber, the second of 3, holds more than 400 hieroglyphic spells known as the pyramid texts, the earliest religious transcripts in the world, and the first to be carved into pyramid walls. They are all mystical instructions meant to be read by the pharaoh after his death.
Please tell me what all this means in general.
Actually, this is like a magical spells to help with the soul, to help the king in afterlife. Magical spells to help the soul to be resurrected again, because the pharaohs will believe the soul will go away.
Yes.
And we're living between the northern stars, and the soul have to come back again to recognize the body. So there is many, bad gods will stop the soul to come back again. It's like a fight or a conflict between good gods and the bad gods.
Right.
So this magical spells will help the soul to come back again.
The pharaohs lost their power. They had seen the tombs of earlier dynasties robbed of the royal treasures that were supposed to guarantee access to the afterlife. So they turned to these written spells instead of luxurious treasure as their new theft-proof tickets to paradise.
For instance, if you have a look here, you can see his name, T. This is a half bread, and the feather is eye. And the name was written in a circle. Why? Because the circle means endless, continuous. So if you got your name in a circle, you will live forever. Right. You will be resurrected in afterlife. All the spells dedicated to Teti, the owner of the pyramid here.
Originally, these cryptic symbols, the world's earliest collection of prayers, were painted in vivid colors. But over 2,000 years, trace amounts of humidity in the desert air ate away at the paint.
So if you use your imagination, very colorful wall.
Yes.
Very colorful star across the side.
Yeah.
This is a brilliantly panoramic place.
That's right, yes.
The ideas in the pyramid texts evolved over hundreds of years into a remarkable document, an eerily detailed roadmap to the afterlife, known as the Book of the Dead. It was written on papyrus, an early form of paper, and placed in the coffin to help guide the deceased on their last journey, including a final step that is still familiar to millions today.
Everybody's believing he will stand in front of God, and he swear, I'm honest guy. I didn't do anything bad to my neighbors. I never polluted the river Nile water. I never looked to my neighbor wife. It's a great instructions, okay? At the end, they are waving his heart. And if he's a good guy, he will go to paradise.
I see.
If he's a bad guy, you have to get punished.
So the same idea of sin existed here in the Egyptian times as it does later in Christian and all other...
I believe the religion is just one tree. And we have many branches.
Exactly.
Islam, Christianity, Jewish. So it was the main tree.
So we're looking at the roots right here.
Here we are in the roots.
King Titi's body was stolen long ago, but his instructions to heaven remain in perfect condition. These ancient carvings are the oldest known form of religious writing. The Greek myths, the Bible, the Quran, all began here.
You're really looking at the history of writing here as well.
Yes.
That's the earliest form of human writing.
Yes.
To understand the real difference between the step pyramid and this man's pyramid, the Teti pyramid, you really have to look at the wall. I mean, all these magical spells, the priorities had changed, a different time entirely. This is not big, bold engineering like the step pyramid. This is a more mythological statement. I mean, the times had changed. You had a pharaoh who was looking for a different way to help himself into the afterlife, and it's all right here, the magical spells that he would use.
Up next, lurking beneath a church, a super fortress.
I've never seen a bigger Roman fortress in any of the Roman places I've seen, including Rome.
And later, the crumbling remains of a well that held off the Crusaders.
We really want to see it, but he's nervous because this is really, really dangerous.